What's good, everyone? Welcome back. This is Lifted Noise. My name's Raul. I had an MPC idea. What if you are a hardware standalone new gen MPC user like myself and you love that classic hardware workflow and you want to EQ your samples on an input without actually having a physical mixer? So, getting the most out of your MPC standalone, you can do this using your Qlinks. You can have hands-on control of EQing your samples on input. Now, there's a couple ways of doing this, so let's take a look. All right, so the first thing you want to do is get a little acquainted with Qlinks. Now, this is not a Qlink video, but it's definitely centered around using Qlinks to your advantage because there's so much you can do with the Qlinks. There's so much that's already pre-programmed and that you can program yourself to do some things that'll help you out. So this is getting the best out of your MPC standalone, of course. So we're gonna look at that. If you hold down this Qlink button, press and hold it, you'll notice at the bottom there's a bunch of different tabs, okay? So there's different sections and ways to program, or rather program yourself. You can program stuff within a project. You can program them within a program itself. Pad scene, pad parameters, and screen. Now I'm just going to look at two. First, we're going to look at the screen, and then we're going to look at the project. So when it's on that screen tab, the way the Qlinks will behave will depend on which screen you're actually in. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I want to go to the sampler back over here, and I want to insert an EQ. Now, I guess you could use any EQ that you want, but I'm going to add a air kill EQ, just a preference. So while the Qlink is set to screen, now that I'm in a plugin, these Qlinks will affect these parameters. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. See? For the first light, it's just an on. It's an on-off switch. If I click over one, I have the control of highs, mids, and lows. So let's try it with a sample here. I have Citizen DJ on. Just pick something real quick. Alright, doesn't matter what it is. Let's see. Play context. So that's pretty cool. But if I exit and no longer have control, that these Qlinks have now been already pre-mapped to work on this screen now. So I want something that's a little more streamlined. I'm on Citizen DJ. It's a project created by the Library of Congress, I believe, which is just a compilation of royalty-free samples, and I'm using this just so I can still monetize my video and not have to deal with any issues. So I'll put a link to that, so if you guys are interested in sample content that you can sample without worrying about royalty-free or about copyrights and that kind of deal, then you can click on that. So what I want to do is I'm looking at Qlinks again, but instead of using the screen, I'm going to go to project. So now on project, I will be able to program these, and then I'll be able to use them within any screen. So I can control EQ on whatever screen I want. So, and I'm going to program, I'm going to keep this simple. All I want is just control of my highs, mids, and lows, not considering anything else like the frequencies, the range, or whatever. Just a simple EQ that you would find like on a mixer, like on a hardware mixer that you would plug in between your MPC and say a turntable or, tablet or a phone. So holding and pressing the Qlink and pressing learn, you'll see the Qlink start to blink. I want to go over to this first row. Okay, now I'm going to tap the one that I want to tap, the Qlink that I want to program first. And now all it takes is just to touch the parameter and move it a little bit. So now I have control of that. So I'm going to hold and press again and then select the next Qlink I want to program. And now we're doing the mids here. And now that controls that. Going to do the same here with the last one and do the mids, or the lows, excuse me. That's it. Just turn it off. So there we go. Now we have, we can press play here. I can play sample coming in. I have control, lows, mids, highs, but I can also exit and still have control of all that. Go into the sampler, figure out what EQ settings I want, and I can sample in. So it's a lot smoother, gives me a lot more control, flexibility. I don't have to be in that screen, the EQ screen, to use my knobs. So I think it's just a little better of a workflow. Okay, so since this Qlink programming was saved under project, just as a reminder, I'm going to want to save this as a template project if I want to recall it. I don't want to have to reprogram this again and again and again. So if you have a template, I would suggest programming your Qlinks within it with your EQ on your insert in your sampler window, and then save that project as your template. So how I would do that, just if you don't know. So you would press the file folder, save as, type in what you want to call it, and then make sure you check this box to save as template. And once that's saved, on your load up screen, you'll have the user template option at the bottom. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys got some use out of it. You know, it's really easy, real simple, kind of basic even, but you know what? There's some things that aren't obvious unless you dive a little bit under the surface to kind of figure out. Qlinks are great. They give you a lot of control. But with the MPC ONE and like the MPC Live, maybe not the X, because you got about 16 Qlinks, which makes things super easy. If you dive under the surface a little bit, you'll see how much functionality is really there and how much you can actually program. So yeah, I mean, it's great. There's just something to be said about having one of these new gen MPCs that really can do just about everything for you in a box. You can do a lot with this, you know. It can be done. So if that's all you can afford is an MPC ONE, it's a great price. Yeah, check me out on the next one. Until next time, stay humble. God bless. Peace.